Hello, and thank you for joining us for this presentation on shrimp trawler transit provisions through cold weather closed areas in the South Atlantic region. This is a scoping meeting for Amendment 11 to the Shrimp Fishery Management Plan. My name is Chip Collier and we'll be going through it for you. Scoping is the second stage of the Fishery Management Plan amendment process. The first stage is to identify an issue, and we'll be going through the issue in subsequent slides. Once again, the second stage is scoping, and that serves two functions for the Council. The first one is it lets the public know that the Council is considering changing regulations in a fishery. And the second way it works is it allows the public an opportunity to comment on the best way to address this management issue or management need. This is the best opportunity and the first opportunity for the public to make suggestions to the Council on how to develop an amendment. And this also allows staff time to thoroughly develop an idea from the public. That way proper analysis can get done and it can be thoroughly analyzed. After scoping, the Council will review input and develop management actions and alternatives. After they've developed these management actions and alternatives, the public will have an opportunity to comment on these through the public hearings. After public hearings, the Council will review the input from the public and consider modifications to the amendment, and from there they'll select preferred alternatives. After this, they'll go to final approval, and this is the last chance for the public to provide input, and this generally occurs at the Council meeting. We'll be going through the timing of the process in one of the later slides of this presentation. So the issue that we're trying to address through this scoping is currently shrimp trawl gear is required to be stowed below deck when transiting federal waters closed to a cold weather event. And fishermen have stated that they cannot stow their gear below deck. Typically, the gear is going to either be stowed in the rack as pictured on the right, or it's going to be stowed up in the outriggers. Before going into some of the transit provision changes that could potentially occur under this, I wanted to give some background on what cold weather closures are. Cold weather closures must be requested by states, and they can occur when the abundance of white shrimp drops by 80% or greater, or water temperatures remain below 48 degrees for at least a week. These closed weather closed areas are adjacent to state waters, and they extend from 3 miles out to 25 miles offshore. Pictured to the right, I have the EEZs off of each of the states. Now the shaded areas are the entire EEZ, which goes out 220 miles. Once again, the closed area would only extend out to 25 miles. In the development of the scoping document, we went through transit provisions for trawlers from several different regions, including the Gulf of Mexico, Mid-Atlantic, New England, and South Atlantic regions. In the review of these, generally the transit provisions included 2 or 3 different requirements. Some of those requirements included trawl door or net stowage. They included net modification or even progression through an area. And we'll be going through each of these as potential ways to modify the transit provisions for the shrimp fishery in the South Atlantic region. So what do you think the Council should do regarding transit provisions in these cold weather closed areas? Should there be a transit provision that includes requirements for door stowage, such as requirement to store the doors below deck, maybe secure the doors on the deck or in the rack, require that the doors be out of the water, or should there not be a requirement for door stowage? We're also open to other ideas. One thing that we would like the commenters to consider is the regulation should protect overwintering white shrimp, as well as consider safety at sea and enforceability. Should the transit provision include requirements for net stowage? This could require the nets be stored below deck. They could be secured on the deck of the boat. They could just be out of the water, or there might not be any requirements for net stowage. We're also welcome for any other ideas that you might have. The next provision that could be included are modifications for the requirements for the net. And this could be disconnecting the net from the trawl doors. It could be removal of bag straps. Once again, there could be no requirement for this. The final thing that we came up with are progression through an area. Should there be a requirement for continuous progression through an area? Should there be a requirement to maintain a certain speed? Or maybe vessel monitoring systems? Or maybe no requirement for progression through an area? This is not an exhaustive list of all the ideas that could be required for transit provisions due to the cold weather closures, but an example ideas that were meant to begin discussion of the idea. So where we are in the timing for Amendment 11, we sent the draft options paper, which was reviewed in September 2019, and right now we're at the scoping hearings. After these hearings, the council will review the scoping comments as well as the actions and alternatives in December 2019. They'll also review the effects analysis and potentially approve this document for public hearings. The public hearings will likely occur in January, February of 2020. After the public hearings, the council will review the public comments and approve all actions and alternatives at the March 2020, where they'll potentially also take final action for secretarial review of the amendment. Staff will be going through these scoping webinars on November 5th and November 7th, and both of these meetings are going to be starting at 7 p.m. This is a little bit later than normal, and this is to allow fishermen the opportunity to get back from sea. In order to be part of the webinars, you will have to register. We provide the links here. We have separate ones for the November 5th and November 7th meeting. You can review all the scoping summary, presentation, and video at the link provided below. And if you'd like to provide written comments, we have an online form. This is the best way for the council to get the information. It provides instant access to your comments, and it also provides public the ability to see these comments as well. The other options to submit comments through mail or by fax are included in the scoping document. In order for your comments to be included in the comment overview for the December 2019 meeting, we'll need to have those comments by November 8th at 5 p.m. If you have any questions about the Shrimp Trawler Transit Provisions Amendment 11 document, you can contact myself, Chip Collier, at 843-302-8444 or through email at the email address below. If you have any general questions about the South Atlantic Council, you can contact either Cameron Rhodes or Kim Iverson. And with that, we will take questions, and then after we go through the questions, then we'll take comments. Thank you and have a good day.